You know, I hate doing intros. I always feel my most awkward when I do intros. But today we're going to be doing the mid-year book Freakout tag. I'm not sure who's the creator because I couldn't find it, but if I do, I'll leave a link in the description box. As I was like answering these questions before recording, I realized what a shitty reading year I've had. I mean, like, it's been a shitty year in general, but like in terms of reading, it's not been good. And not only do I mean this quantity wise because my reading goals Stop. But also quality wise. I've read so many bad but good books. I guess they're like guilty pleasure books, but now when I have to answer these kind of questions, I regret it. I don't know if you guys categorize your books that way. Maybe I'm just like quirky like that. All of this is to say that if you see me alternating between 3 different books, like that's the reason why. Now the first question is best book you've read so far. Hey, it's me, and it's so soon, I know. So I was so excited to talk about this book that I never actually introduced it to you. It's Strange Dreamer by Leonie Taylor. Sorry, now let's go back. It actually took me a week to finish this book, when usually it takes me about 2 to 3 days to finish a personal book, let it have been a school book, and 3 months would not have been enough. But it's not because it was slow, it's just that the writing in this book is so lyrical, and I felt like I would do myself a disservice if I did not read each sentence thoroughly. I'm not one to really pay attention to an author's writing, but Leonie Taylor's writing demands your attention. It is just so beautiful, and I think it's one of the best I've ever read. For that reason, I think you should pick it up, but also because it is such a beautiful story that truly transports you into this magical, whimsical world. We follow an orphan librarian named Laszlo who loves stories, and he always has his head in the clouds, and he particularly loves the story of a lost city named Weep. And many people consider this city to be a legend, a sort of children's bedtime story, but this army ends up in their city one day, and turns out they're actually from Weep. And so obviously Laszlo was like, oh shit. And he takes this opportunity to, you know, offer himself and ask if he could follow them back to Weep. And so we follow multiple perspectives in this book, but we mainly follow Laszlo and Sarai, who hasn't had human interaction since she can remember. The second question is the best sequel you've read so far. This is the sequel to Strange the Dreamer. I think it is a masterpiece of a sequel. I think it gave the closure that I wanted. The only complaint I would have is that I wish the author would have stuck to her bold decisions in terms of who she killed off. It would have destroyed me, but I like to put myself through that emotional trauma apparently. Regardless, this is a masterpiece, and I can't give you too much detail because it'd be a spoiler, and this is just not a book worth spoiling. Question number 3, new release you haven't read but want to. And I have to say House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. Honestly, anything written by Sarah J. Maas I want to read. The only reason why I haven't picked this up is because it's a very intimidating book. It's about more than 800 pages, and I also know that it's really slow in the beginning, and lately I've actually been in the mood to read romance and just fluffy stories, but I really hope to pick this up soon. I've heard many mixed reviews, but I think it shows a lot of promise just because I'm really into the whole fantasy type of thing. Question number 4, most anticipated book release for the second half of the year. To be honest, I have no business like searching up and buying new releases for this year. I'm still trying to catch up with the books from 2 years ago. That being said though, I'm super excited for the 4th book in the Ember in the Ashes series. I'm not really sure like the series has its own name, but I just call it by the first book. And it is A Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabah Tahir. I'm excited, but like also like I'm not ready. I just know. I can't even speak, you see. I just know I'm gonna be a mess when I finish this series, and I'm super glad that I decided to continue on with this series this year because it's proven to be such a wonderful YA fantasy series that deals with like really dark concepts, which I love. And yeah, I think everyone's heard of this book, but if you haven't, you should definitely pick it up. Question number 5. Alright, so 2020 of my life was a book. Simon and the Homo Sapiens Agenda would have been like the foreshadowing to a shitty year. Like I was in the rare contemporary mood in the beginning of the year. Like I just wanted something really light and funny and fluffy, and I picked Simon and the Homo Sapiens Agenda because I've heard so many great reviews on it, and I know there was a movie adaptation to it, so I was like, I'll read the book and then I'll watch a movie, and hell yeah, like it'll be a great time, you know. I'll live vicariously through this character. But it killed it. I don't remember much of this story, but I'll try my best. We follow the protagonist Simon, who is talking to this mysterious boy that also attends his high school. And through their email conversations, it turns out that this mysterious boy named Blue is also gay, just like Simon, but it's a secret. And through their conversations, they also develop a crush on each other. So a big point in the plot of the story is trying to discover who Blue is, but also it deals with the dilemma of Simon trying to come out to his family and friends. He did the mistake of using his school computer to talk to Blue, and he did not log off properly from his email. So this kid read their emails, and now he's blackmailing Simon to set up a date with one of his friends, or else he will reveal his secret, and by default reveal the secret of Blue. Based on the synopsis, it sounds like a beautiful story of love and acceptance, but I just hate the author's execution of it. First, I hate that the whole mystery of who Blue is was no mystery at all. It was so obvious who he was. Basically, the first time he just appeared in the story, I knew it was him. And I was honestly confused. I was like, am I supposed to know? Is that part of the plot? But after reading some reviews, I realized that people were like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming. And I was like, bruh, I saw it from a mile away. But not only that, I hate her execution of Simon's story. And to be honest, a part of me feels weird saying that, because who am I to say that a coming out story isn't good enough, you know, as a straight woman? But the author, who is also a straight woman, I feel like put a nice filter around the whole concept of being homosexual in the world today. I feel like she did not explore a lot of the issues that gay people face. For the most part, Simon's community was very accepting, and it seemed like the hardest part was just saying he was gay, but not, you know, the things that happen after revealing that secret. And although that is the ideal situation, I mean, the ideal situation is not to say that you're gay. Like, there's no one who is straight that are revealing, hey, I'm a heterosexual. No one's saying that. But I guess the best scenario is to be part of an accepting community that will help you in your journey of self-love. But that is not the reality for most individuals. Most people are afraid of revealing they're gay because there's so many homophobic people who will try to hurt them. They might be part of a religious community that makes them feel like they're the embodiment of sin, which isn't true. They might be part of a culture that's just isn't accepting of that. You know, that kind of thing causes so much trauma, I imagine, and a lot of self-loathing. And I get that this book was supposed to be this really light and fluffy book, but considering that we're dealing with that topic today in this world, I feel like it's something that should be explored in great detail. That's why this book bothered me. In terms of the movie, I know that I searched it up and I remember like playing it, but I don't remember anything from it. So I don't know if I knocked out or it was just so bland that I can't even. Alright, question number 6. Biggest surprise. Hey, it's editing me now. We got a little bit of technical difficulties. I forgot to fix the exposure while I was recording, so every time I lift up a book cover that's white, it throws off the balance and it gives me like a really yellow tint, which like does wonders for my skin. So I apologize for that, but I won't be holding the white book for a very long time, so bear through it. The audio's good though. And yeah. Now this book did what Simon and the Homo Sapiens Agenda wish it could. Like, I wish I found this book in the beginning of the year, because the author gave me exactly what I look for in a romance book. But the reason why this surprised me is for 2 reasons. First, because it was an audiobook that I picked randomly, and if you know me, I'm not a fan of audiobooks because they just become background noise to me. Like 30 minutes later, I'll be like, who the f is Lily? I won't know what the hell is going on. And actually, that's the reason why I picked this book. It was a random audiobook, and I was like, well, it's gonna be background noise to me regardless, so it doesn't matter which one I choose. But Joe Watson proved me wrong. I ended up being completely invested in this story. I found myself laughing out loud and like fangirling. It was just a beautiful story. I feel like the synopsis of the story is not going to convince you to pick this up, but trust me, if you're looking for, you know, a summer read, then this is a perfect book to get. This follows a girl named Lily who was left at the altar, and as a big you to her ex-fiance, she decides to go on her honeymoon. And you know, so many things happen in her trip there that like it just wasn't her week, alright? Like but she meets this stranger named Damien, and he's like the antithesis of her taste in men, but he actually ends up helping her in her journey of self-discovery. Right, question number 7 is favorite new author. Look, I'm a fantasy reader, alright? It's so hard for me to find romance books that I enjoy, much less an author who writes romance novels. I don't know, I feel like most romance or contemporary books makes me want to like stab myself in the eye. Some people say that it's because I'm too realistic, and others might say because I'm a bitter bitch, but regardless, Joe Watson is my kryptonite. Question number 8, newest favorite character. It gotta be Laszlo. He's just a saint. Like, he is so kind, intelligent, optimistic. He looks for the best in people. He always has the best intentions. And although he has his flaws, they're like so minimal compared to all his good qualities. And I'd sacrifice my firstborn for him. Question number 9, book that made you cry. I should just name this video Stranger Dreamer Duology Book Review, but you know what? They earn these titles. This book made my little Grinch heart grow just a little more this year. I can't say why because it'd be a spoiler, but this is a beautiful book with characters that you will learn to love and truly care for and sympathize with. Question number 10, book that made you happy. Next question is most beautiful book you've bought this year or received. I'm going to talk about an artist, Charlie Bowater, because all the book covers that she's designed are beautiful. For example, she's done Enchantment of Ravens, Starsight, also Skyward, Sorcery of Thorns. She just does amazing illustrations and she's just so talented, and I love every single book cover she has created. Final question is, what book do you need to read before the year ends? I definitely need to read Reaper at the Gates by Savant Tahir before December 2020 when the 4th book comes out. Like I said, I'm so happy that I decided to continue on with this series, even though it breaks my heart that it's gonna end. I know that this series, Ember in the Ashes, is and was super hyped, but honestly I think it deserves all the hype that it has received, and for that reason I feel like it's unnecessary for me to give you a synopsis of Ember in the Ashes, the first book. But just in case you've never heard of this gem, I will explain to you. This is a YA fantasy book that follows 2 characters. The first is a scholar girl named Leia whose family has been murdered by these elite soldiers that are named Masks. Their job really is to protect, supposedly, but mostly it is to install fear within the people so they can manipulate them and make them follow the rules. And that leads to the second character, Elias, who is also a Mask, but despite what I just said, he's actually a good guy, and he has the self-awareness to know that the morals of the Masks do not align with his moral compass. So funny enough, the goals of both Laia and Elias align, which results in this unexpected alliance between both of them. And you know, perhaps, maybe, possibly, there's more. Alright, so that is the end of this tag. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you look for any future videos of mine, please subscribe. Leave a comment down below answering any of these questions. I would love to know, but do not spoil me on House of Earth and Blood. Don't do me dirty like that. I hope you have a great reading year. Please wash your hands, stay safe, and see you next time. Bye! Yeah, seems like a pretty good angle to me.